Hello guys, let's talk about Jenkins a little bit. I'm going to show you how to install Jenkins as a Docker container and then integrate that Docker container with the GitHub because I have a Java project in that GitHub and then build the Java project using the Jenkins. So let's talk a little bit about what is Jenkins. Jenkins is a build and deployment server. It's a free open source written in Java. So in this video, before I create the pipeline, I'll have to do a little bit of preparatory work. So number one is, as you know, Jenkins Docker container has a user inside it. That's called Jenkins, and its ID is 1000. And it also has a group with the same name, with the same ID. So I'll create a user Jenkins user on the host VM so that I can map the same user inside the Docker container. I have to do that because I'll share a host file system with the Docker container. After that, I'll install Docker and then install some of the plugins required for this pipeline, and then configure the credential and install some of the other tools like Maven and Java. Since this is a Maven project, that's why I need the Maven, and of course the Java I need. So this is how it looks like in the Maven tools configuration section of the Jenkins. I'll show you later how I configure this, and then I'll also have to configure a credential in the Jenkins so that I can use this credential to clone the repository from the GitHub. Hi guys, before installing the Docker container, I'm going to show you where you will find the official Docker container. So this is the GitHub URL for the Jenkins Docker image. So you'll see here it is an official Jenkins Docker image, and it also shows what are the commands you can use. So this is one of the command. This is one of the command, but I'll be using something like this. I'll show you the exact command within a bit, but yes, this is the location where you will find the Jenkins official image. Hi guys, so I'm back on my VM. I've created a script, bash script. Let me show you the script. Yeah, Jenkins. Yeah, this is the script. Basically, as I said, I'll create a group with the group ID 1000 and name Jenkins, and I'll also create a Jenkins user with the home. This will be the home, and this home will be shared inside. This home from the VM will be shared inside the Docker container. So as you notice that the group ID is also same as the 1000 of the user ID. This is a requirement because you have to match this group ID and the user ID with the IDs exist already inside the Docker container. After that, I'll be installing Docker software on my CentOS VM. This is the command. I already have installed the Docker version, one of the Docker version, but this is the command if you want to install it. And once you get the Docker installed, this will be the command to run the Jenkins Docker container. So I'm explaining you what is it. So I'm saying here run a Docker container in the daemon mode, and I'm giving it a name. That the container name will be Jenkins, and I'm mapping a host file system which is /Jenkins home, which is basically the home of the Jenkins user on the VM. And then I'm mapping this /Jenkins home from the VM to the inside var Jenkins home, which is the home of the Jenkins user inside the Docker container. And you see the port mapping I'm doing. So I'm mapping inside 8080 port from the Docker container to the outside VM 8080 port. This is the port where Jenkins listens. And 50,000 port is basically a GNLP port. This port is used by Docker slaves to connect back to the Jenkins master. And this is the image I'll be using, official image, as I have shown you on the GitHub URL. And after that, I'm going to give Docker a 5 seconds time to spin up the VM correctly. After that, I'll cat this file. So this file is basically, once the Docker container runs, it spins up, it generates a initial password for the admin user in this file. So I need this password to log into the system once it is like spun up. So I'm going to run this script here. So let's do this. It says the Docker already installed, as I said before, and then it ran the Docker container, and then I was trying to read the file, but the file still doesn't exist. Probably it takes a little bit of more time, but I'm not worried about that. Let me check if the Docker container is running. So Docker ps is the command to see running containers. What I see, yes. So Docker container is running with the name Jenkins and listening on port 8080 and 50,000. Now that I have the Jenkins container running, so I'll try to connect to this Jenkins container. Let me before connecting it from my browser, let me do a little test from here. So Jenkins running on the 0000 interface. That means the all interface it is attached to. So let me do a little curl on this. Yeah, looks like there's something is running on that, and it is asking for authentication. So it is basically means that yes, the Jenkins container is running. So right now I'm checking. Let me check my IP of this machine. So IP of this machine is 192.168.1.10. I'm going to use this IP from the browser to connect to. Okay guys, so I have my browser open. Now I'm using the IP to log into the system. Yeah. Okay, so this is the initial screen you should see after the after installation of the Jenkins. So this is saying that the Jenkins is like locked. You need a password to log into the system. So you can find the password in this file, and then get the password, copy it here, paste it here, and then continue. So I'm going to get the password from the system. So yeah, I'm going to cat that file, and as I said it before, that var/var/Jenkins home is mapped from outside /Jenkins. So yes, this is the password I'm going to use. So I copied the password. I'm pasting the password here, and then continue. Yeah. So I'm inside the Jenkins right now, and it is asking me to install some of the plugins. So I'm going to install the suggested plugin first. So it's going to take a little bit of time, and I'm going to pause the video until it finishes. Okay, so the installation of the plugins has been finished, and once that finishes, it automatically brings you to this user creation interface. So I'm going to create a user here, admin, and I'm going to keep password very simple, admin, 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 and admin at abc.com. Save, and it is asking you to save the password. I'm going to save it for me, and this is the URL as I said before for the Jenkins. Click finish, start Jenkins. Okay, you got the Jenkins running right now. So we successfully installed Jenkins using a Docker container. Now I'm going to download Maven. So I'm going to go inside the Jenkins home and then do duplicate. All right, so I got the Maven here, as you see. I'm going to enter it. Okay, so I got entered Maven. So I'm going to go inside that and take the path. So yeah, so Maven is installed in this path. I need this piece to put this path inside tools configuration of Jenkins. Now I'm going to configure the tool section for this Maven that I have downloaded. So I'm going to manage Jenkins. Global tool sections. And as you can see, I have a Maven section here. I'm going to add Maven and I'm going to give it a name. Let me keep the name this Apache Maven 354. And I'm saying you don't have to install automatically. So it will ask you for the location. So from inside the container, the location is var Jenkins underscore home Maven Apache Maven hyphen 3.5.4. I'm going to save this. Okay. Now I'll be configuring credential as you see. So I have my source code here in this repository. So I need a username and credential so that my pipeline can come into this GitHub repository, test project repository, and clone the repository. So I'm going back to the credential sections, and then I'm creating a credential here. It will be username and password credential. So kind is username and password, scope global, and username should be as you can see, the username is Muhammad Ali Hassan. I'm going to copy that part. Yeah, and the password is, and I'm giving it a ID, and in the description I'm going to write that password credentials for GitHub test project. Yeah, I'm going to save this. I have to remember this ID. It is saved, and I'm going back to Jenkins now, and I'll be creating a pipeline. So to create pipeline, I'll go to the Jenkins, and then from there new items, and then I'll create a new project. Let's say test project, and I'll create a pipeline here. So I'm clicking on the pipeline, click OK. And I'll be writing my code in the pipeline section. So I'm clicking on the pipeline tab. So this is the section where I'll be writing my code. Hi guys. So this is the code, pipeline code. So I'm going to explain you a little bit what this pipeline code means. So every pipeline runs inside a node. So you have to mention at the very top level the node. So I just mentioned the node. You can give a node a name if you have multiple nodes. Since I just only have one Jenkins running, I don't have any slave running, so I don't mention the name. So by default, a node simply means a Jenkins master. So I mentioned that node at the very top level, and then under that I defined a variable. The variable is optional, like you don't have to define this variable, but for simplicity I defined this variable. This variable is just pointing to the URL of the GitHub repository where my project is, which is the test project, as you can see. And I have defined two sections of this build pipeline. So first section, I'm in the stage is like checkout. I'll first check out the code from the GitHub, and in the second section I'll be building that code using the maven. So I'm going to explain you what that each of the stage means. And the first stage is the checkout stage, and in that stage I'm saying checkout source code management system, and I'm saying it is a git uh, repository, and I am providing the repository URL. As you see, this is the repository URL. So I'm providing here the URL of the repository, and I'll be using a credential as you can remember that the credential name was Muhammad Ali Hassan, and I'll be checking the master branch. So let's go in the GitHub and see what the branches we have. I only have the master branch here. You see I only have the master branch, and I have so this is the, if you want to see the URL, this is the URL of the project. I just copied this URL from there, and in the second section, as you see, this is the build section. This is the build section, and in this section I'm saying I'm setting a path. So that path will be used with the with env directive. With env means that use these environment variables and run this command within the context of that environment variables. So I have a path variable already. As you know, if you are a Linux user, you know that the path environment variable exists in all Linux systems. With the path environment variable, I am adding another path variable which is called maven, and maven is basically, it is pulling information from the tools configuration section. As you remember, I configured a tool with the name Apache Maven 3.5.4. So I'm pulling information from this tool section and the location of this tool, and then adding the bin after it, and then putting that value to the Maven environment variable. So under that context, I'm running the Maven command with two goals. One is the clean, and the one is the install. So let me save this and see. Try to run this pipeline. So pipeline is running. So it looks like the checkout section has passed, and it is running the second part, Maven build section. It is downloading required in the dependencies. So far looks like it's going good. Quite a long list of downloads. So yeah, as you see, the last message is the finished with success, build success. Let's go back to the project section again, and if you see, I have as I have defined two stages. One is the checkout stage and the build stage, and each stage is showing in the green. So the green means it is cool. So it looks like we have done successful deployment of the Docker containerized Jenkins and created a pipeline and build a Java project. Thank you very much for watching.